Hello friends, right now we are in Hermosa Beach, California, and we got some really exciting content coming up. Stick around, you don't want to miss this. Right now we have somebody I'm really excited about. This is my good friend Al. Al is a US Marine veteran. He's been in some deployments. He has a lot of military experience. Right now he's enjoying his retirement. Am I saying that correctly?
Not so much retirement, but time off.
Time off, exactly. Once a Marine, always a Marine. Al has introduced me to many of his friends. Some of them have been in Ukraine on deployment. Some of them have never been, but they speak about this. This is the question that is important to many people. I would like to know a little bit about you before we get into the meat of things. Where were you stationed or deployed, or how does that work with being a Marine in your case?
Well, I was born and raised in LA, and Los Angeles, California, and then I was stationed down the street in San Diego at Camp Pendleton. I spent like a good 9 years there, and then I got orders to go to the East Coast. I was stationed in North Carolina, Camp Lejeune, and then from Camp Lejeune, I also went to Naval Base Norfolk in Virginia, and I deployed all over the world, from Guantanamo Bay, Cuba, Northern Europe. I've been to Korea, South Korea, Japan, Australia, New Zealand. The military needs to be deployed. That's where I've been. You mentioned about the deployments. Deployments in the past with the Marine Corps, we did work with the Ukrainian military way before the war began. So we had training with them. But
where?
They had Marines go to Kyiv, and then they go to the army bases over there. Marines train with the Ukrainian military.
Are there army bases in Ukraine?
No, there's no army bases there in Ukraine or U.S. military bases there. It's just we go there, train, and same with
like a training cooperation.
Yeah, just saying, like I've been to South America as well on a 6-month MU, which is on a ship for 6 months, and we train with the countries of South America, like Chile, Argentina. Because
usually that's like an international coalition there. It's not just American troops. It's like all bunch of
we all work together. It's a free democratic society. We work with different countries, and we want to know how they operate. So in case there's like a tornado or earthquake, then we'll go there, help out.
I know that there's a lot of Russian presence in Africa. Russia is fighting heavily for influence within African countries. They send their, so to speak, cultural troops over there, but also the real troops. They also supply like AKs to African rebels and all that. Are you familiar with any of that?
Somewhat familiar. I know they're trying to be influential with countries over there, just like in the Cold War, where the Soviet Union was sending their technical trainers, instructors to different parts of the world, whether it's Southeast Asia or Africa, to spread communism. But I think it's still the same. They try to be influential in different countries, for their own personal capital gain.
So it looks like there is a pretty significant U.S. Army presence around the world with our allies, right? And there's a lot of military agreements between the United States and other countries, like let's say Philippines.
The Mutual Defense Treaty between the Republic of the Philippines and the United States of America was signed on August 30th, 1951 by their representatives in Washington, D.C. The treaty has 8 articles and requires both nations to support each other if another party attacks the Philippines or the United States.
Ukraine, for one instance, also a lot of European countries are kind of counting on United States to help out in case something goes wrong. Namely, in Poland, they have a military directive or something like that. In case Russia attacks, they're supposed to start quickly evacuating and await NATO troops, including United States troops, right? Are you familiar with that?
Yeah, it's I think Article 5 of the NATO. Since Poland is part of NATO, and there is a coalition of other countries, an attack on one is an attack on all.
Right.
Right now, just from what I know they have a U.S. military presence, not just U.S., but they also have England, French, German troops deployed in Latvia, Estonia, Lithuania, Poland. So everyone's working together to make sure that, the Russians don't try to go further west. So everyone knows, since the Cold War, since before the Cold War, the Russians have been forcing their influence upon other countries. But I guess they lived through that experience, and they don't want history to replay itself again from 1945 on up.
Yeah, and it's a history of different invasions by Soviet Union.
Mm-hmm.
Like they invaded Hungary in 1954, they invaded Czechoslovakia in 1968. The new Russia, since they've been independent from Soviet Union, they've invaded Georgia, Moldova, now Ukraine. They've kind of made it known that they consider some other parts of the world as their territories, including some parts of the United States, Alaska. Some parts of California are Russian.
A Russian TV pundit has questioned whether Russia could claim territory now in California, following claims that a recent move by President Vladimir Putin gave the Kremlin grounds to reclaim Alaska. Putin signed a decree late last week allocating funding for the search, registration, and legal protection of Russian property abroad, which included property in its former territories as the Russian Empire and later the Soviet Union. The declaration prompted prominent Russian military bloggers to suggest Russia should restake its claim in Alaska, which was bought by the U.S. in 1867 from Russian Empire and became a state in 1959.
So the important alliance for Ukrainians is United States and Ukraine. And United States has helped in fair share, but right now it seems like there are some issues with that help.
This House has failed to pass additional supplemental aid to that effort for 427 days, more than half the length of this war. Our inaction is an abandonment, not only of our allies, but of our values of liberty, democracy, and international law.
Yeah, there's a lot of problems, internally with the United States because of the upcoming elections, the border, not to get into the politics, but right now the U.S. has to focus on its own issues, which is causing a ripple effect that's affecting other issues, nationwide. So in order we have been helping countries since the end of World War II, during World War II, up until like when the U.S. became a superpower after World War II. During the current times that we're going through, they caught us, like what they say, like caught us with our pants down. It's just we're in a transition time.
Russia caught you with the pants down?
Yeah, pretty much. Like the way we say it over here, like they caught us off guard. We're going through this issues with the politics, but at the same time, we got to get that taken care of before we get everything else. Help anybody else who needs our help, but it's just one of those things where it's a mess. Everyone's trying to help each other out, but we have problems, both external and internal, and it causes a delay on providing a focus on helping out Ukraine. Even though I think it was the Budapest Accord or
memorandum.
Yeah, memorandum.
When the Soviet Union collapsed in 1991, nuclear arms lay in sites scattered across the former Soviet republics. Ukraine inherited the third largest nuclear arsenal in the world, including some 1,900 strategic nuclear weapons designed to strike the United States. The Budapest Memorandum committed Washington, Moscow, and London, among other things, to respect the independence and sovereignty and existing borders of Ukraine and to refrain from the threat or use of force against that country. Washington has provided political and economic support to Kyiv, as well as military assistance. It has worked with the European Union to put in place increasingly tough sanctions on the Russian economy. Washington should do more. These are actions that the United States owes Ukraine for giving up the nuclear arms on its territory. In 1994, Washington wrote Kyiv a check for U.S. support in the Budapest Memorandum.
Ukraine agreed to give up those nuclear weapons as long as that they weren't invaded by any other foreign countries, and the U.S. did agree to help out, including other Western countries. But things happen to become complacent. They drop their guard, and this is the mess that we're in now. I think it's going to be resolved with Ukraine winning the war. Russia's going to suffer the repercussions, but it'll take time. It can't be overnight. It's not going to be a 24-hour war. It's going to take a little longer than that.
Wouldn't you say that it looks like a little chaotic around here? It looks like we're not prepared to deal with what Russia is throwing at us. The military attack on Ukraine is one thing, but Russia is also fighting in information spheres. They're trying to destabilize United States by sending money and influence at anyone who is willing to speak Russian propaganda narrative. And it's being pretty successful because I hear Russian narratives being spoken at highest levels of United States government, like Rand Paul. He basically just comes out and says like one after another, just all of the Russian propaganda narrative.
Russia launched a distinct and multifaceted campaign to undermine and influence the American democratic process. The goal is to sow political and social discord in the United States, to undermine the American democratic system, to create Russian voices within the American political parties. The campaign is ongoing and consists of information warfare, use of cyber operations, the courting of influential voices within the American conservative movement, and direct targeting of voters through internet.
I'm familiar with it. The thing is, I think it has to do with the media. There's a narrative that the news media would follow their interviews and make it seem like it's a bad deal for Ukraine, but it's not. In reality, it's just the way they manipulate, the news. Bad news sells. People don't want to hear good, feel-good stories. When they hear the negative stories, people catch their attention.
So you're saying Ukraine is still in good shape and the help from the United States is coming and all this chaos is kind of like made up by the media?
I'm pretty sure it's made up by the media. Ukraine does get a lot of support. It's getting help from not just the U.S., but also NATO countries and other non-NATO countries. The news media is embellishing the truth. They're making things up, making it seem that it's worse than it appears. But I don't believe so. Just based on my experience in Ukraine, the Ukrainian military, they have high morale. They got good spirit of corps, and they're working together. And not just Ukrainians, but I've seen people from the international volunteers helping out England. I've seen Germans, I've seen Australians, Americans, Norwegians. I've seen people from different countries helping out in Ukraine, myself included and a few other Americans, whether it's direct action, combat, or humanitarian, which I was doing. But I think there's more to it that the news media is not portraying.
There's senators of the United States. They were in communication with a Russian spy who was in direct communication with Russian intelligence. And he was assuring them that he's giving them good information, on which these two senators started an impeachment proceeding to impeach Biden. And then that guy admitted that everything that he provided was a lie. I think it's incredible achievement on Russia's part. It's a victory for Russian intelligence. Maybe they could have gone more far or less far, but they're gonna keep stabbing at United States.
Yeah, I don't think that part has anything to do with what people are focused on, and it doesn't affect me, that impeachment. All the other things that you had mentioned, it's like I never knew about, or it just something that it doesn't really apply to what we're experiencing here in the United States. Other things that people are focused here in the U.S. are inflation, the cost of living.
Russia is waging wide-reaching information warfare with the West. A significant part of this war takes place on social media, which Russia employs to spread disinformation and to interfere with the internal politics of other countries.
Do you think on your regular basis, do you think you come to see Russian misinformation in your daily lives or no?
Just if I look in some of the websites that deal with the Russian war. When I was in the military, I did work with the Russians, and they use tactics that are very archaic. And then I even told people, like, the way the Russians work, it's going to lead to the demise. They don't have the leadership as we do in the military, where you have your officers, your staff NCOs, and then everyone else. The Russian military, you cut off the head of the snake, and then the whole military crumbles. In the U.S. military, NATO countries, including Ukraine, you have the officers. If the officer is out of action, then you have the staff NCOs, the enlisted, and it goes by small unit leadership. There's always going to be someone's going to be taking over. So based on that, I think it's pretty much how it's going to be for the Ukrainian military.
You're saying that militarily, Ukraine is destined to win.
Yeah, they have good leadership, better potential.
You've been to Ukraine recently?
Yeah, the last time I was in Ukraine was back in, late October. Of last year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty recent. That's only 4 months away.
I think something good to happen, where Putin will be removed, and it'll be something that people start rejoicing and thinking like, "Wow, we never expected this." So anything can happen.
Do you see a clear path for Ukrainian victory?
I do.
Because I do.
I always try to keep an optimistic, point and a view on things. There's also there's times I'm pessimistic. I try to moderate, or not moderate. I try to place myself in the middle. But I have a saying like, you plan for the worst and hope for the best, or hope for the best and plan for the worst. So there's always two actions to it. So I keep myself optimistic that this will be a Ukrainian victory. It's going to be one of those days where everyone's going to be celebrating, and you and I will have a drink in Crimea.
I can't wait for that. I want to thank you for taking some time to talk to us today a little bit. Mm-hmm. Thank you for your service. Thank you for being an amazing Marine that supports Ukraine. Thank you so much, sir.
Дякую.
So it's nice to get an opinion of somebody who is from here on what's going on. Obviously, a lot of people are aware there's a war going on, which is very bloody, very with huge consequences for the world and everything. What is your opinion? Should the United States, with its involvement right now, should it continue supporting Ukraine? Should it continue help in whichever way we can over here?
Yes, like I've had my own struggles, like personally in my life, and so like I've been kind of bouncing back and like kept out of the loop. But for the most part, the only thing I've heard is like, well, why aren't we helping Palestine as much as Ukraine? But I haven't heard like, well, stop this and go there. Basically what they're saying is if you're going to be against like one country invading another, that should be a principle.
And you should follow that same thing everywhere. The reason for this channel is I want more people to be united in our understanding what we want to do as a country. And some powers at be, they want to divide us, like Russia, for example, they're achieving some successes in some destabilization of United States. For example, they successfully promoted their propaganda narratives to the highest levels of United States government, where United States senators have spoken Russian lies, and then those lies have been proven to be lies, and they kind of like just stay being senators, and which for a brief period they were working for a country that's trying to destroy us.
Whenever you have an adversary that's trying to degrade yourself or an ally or anything of that nature, you generally don't want to support them. It doesn't look good, and it's probably not right if they're supporting you when they want to destroy you. Period.
Right.
And I haven't looked into it. Either as much as I should. I have heard like generally that story.
Yeah.
But it's more of a reflection of those individuals' character and what they would have already done anyway. So they could take a rumor from or a source.
So instead of taking it from Russia, they would find it from somebody else.
Yeah, someone on the street. Like
that's a good point. Actually,
they don't really care. Like they're just gonna fight. What President Biden does say that is a good thing, or at least like I related to, or I thought of, and actually wrote down like before I ever heard him say it, is America is an idea, and I actually believe in that. Ideally, what you want is Republicans who, and I'm not saying it's just like Republicans doing this, but like you want Republicans who actually believe in like their principles and their values, and who are of good moral character and who don't play those dirty battles. I think that's where Democrats are winning, because even if you hate or you don't believe in their policies, they have policy plans. They have actual plans. They have things like Medicare for All or the Green New Deal that they actually want to build. and it's harder. It's harder to take something like that down if you're just trying to destroy something and someone else is trying to build. And
Right.
I think that's really where it should be on both sides.
I think I just want to thank you for taking the time to talk to us really quick.
You're
I can't believe you're not doing more of this. I like where your head stands. I like how you think.
Thank you.
And I think you shared some important thoughts today. Thank you so much.
Nice to meet you.
There's a war going on with great consequences for our country, for the world in general, for Ukraine probably the most.
Yes.
Right now. They're in dire straits. What do you think? Should the United States continue to help Ukraine? Should we keep doing what we're doing? We've done a lot with the help of United States weapons. Ukraine has had some advances, some successes. They're going to continue to need that, to keep doing that. What's your opinion on that?
I think it's great that we have helped out, and I know over the last year or so we have gave a few billions of dollars. So I think that has been a great benefit.
$113 billion to date.
billion, yeah.
Around,
so which is a great great amount of money.
Yep.
So I think it's a great partnership. So yeah, I think we should just keep helping out. But it is a large amount that is going over there. To be frank. But I do believe that we should be allies in all this.
Do you have some reservations? Maybe something could be done differently. I mean, maybe
yes.
it's not a perfect scenario
It's not a perfect
right
scenario. It's not Ukraine's fault at all. It's more, I would say, an American thing where here we have such high inflation and things like that, where Americans are struggling in our own ways, obviously not in the same situation, where I think we could use some of the billions sent, where I think we should help with weapons and everything like that, but also help the homelessness here and other
Right.
situations, but continue with being allies and taking down Russia.
Have you heard those arguments that say we should probably stop helping Ukraine? We
Yes.
should just focus on helping United States. We have
Right.
homelessness. We have all that. Why even? As long as we have homelessness, why even help Ukraine? What do you think of that?
Well,
and have you heard something like that?
Yeah, so that was kind of my point of we have a lot of homelessness here, so I believe that some of that money going over there could also benefit Americans here. Like you said, you're an American here
Yes.
now. I think it could help benefit all of us. So maybe about half that billion, 50 billion or 70 billion, I think could help benefit Ukraine. But I think 114 billion is a very large number, to be frank with you. But I believe that we should help each other and when we're in difficult situations.
So, what would be like the strongest argument against helping Ukraine, like besides homelessness?
No,
like,
I think we should help them. I never
You think
said
we still should?
Absolutely, but I just said the amount of funding is a very high amount. But I believe we should absolutely help. But 114 billion dollars is also equivalent to the richest family in the world.
Yeah.
They're worth 114 billion dollars.
Who is that? Elon
The
Musk?
family in Mumbai.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're worth.
It's not Elon Musk.
Yeah, they're worth 114 billion dollars. So their entire net worth went to Ukraine within a year. So
Of
that's
that family.
Yeah, I'm saying
That's
just
like
think
one
of that
family.
example. Yeah, so I'm saying that's 114 billion. That's a huge amount. So
Some say that's not a lot of money that we send to Ukraine, and with the successes that they had on the field of battle, that's like a cheap victory for United States.
I would say that's a very large amount of money. 114 billion dollars. Elon Musk is worth 180 billion dollars. He's
Yeah.
the richest man in the world. So 114 billion dollars of that is nearly 75% of his money.
Yeah.
So that's a large amount of money.
But in the scale of a country's budget, that's not a lot of money. Like,
to America, we're rolling over $20 trillion of debt. It is equivalent. It is a large amount of money.
Figures.
I do have to head out though.
really?
Yeah, this is fantastic.
That's been amazing, and
All right.
thank you so much.
Yeah, I believe in support, and
Thanks for speaking to us for a second.
Yeah.
We're a YouTube channel called Young Ukrainians. We're
Okay.
speaking boring politics.
Okay.
Basically, there's a war going on with
Okay.
tremendous consequences for the world, for United States. We already start feeling it. Do you think United States should continue help Ukraine, continue like sending money over there? Some people say it's too much money. We don't know where it's going.
Honestly, I don't really know. I can't really even fathom the situation. It's so big and so, it's gnarly. It's crazy to see what people can do to each other. And but I'm leaning more towards no because it's like, But would it realistically stop anything, even if we didn't help? But you're just gonna watch a country fall apart, you know, and like.
Ukraine is dependent on the United States help.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Hugely,
for sure.
hugely.
So,
They're just gonna die.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
So you're gonna watch a whole. How can you watch a whole country crumble when you've already helped this far?
80% of that is staying right here in the United States and goes to United States military complex, which it creates jobs for Americans.
Yeah.
It actually positively influences United States economy. Of course, people spin it both ways. They say, "Oh no, let's not help Ukraine. You know, we have homelessness," which is true. We do have homelessness.
Oh yeah, but I don't think you should take away one to help the other type of thing. Like I feel like with money like that now, you know, with those numbers, it's like, oh, you should be able to. I don't know, help both, I guess. Conversation has kind of sparked up again of, oh, should we help ourselves? Should we keep helping Ukraine? And it's like, I've like heard that, but I haven't put too much thought into it. So, because I don't really know much of what's going on. I remember when everything was first kind of flaring up and starting, and we were like, oh, let's jump in. And I'm like, oh, we're still jumping in, and we're all still riding this wave going on.
Right.
And it's not getting any better. And I don't know if taking ourselves out of it would make it better or worse at this point, because it's been going on for a minute now.
Right. After Ukraine, it's Poland.
Yeah.
And by the way, Russia is not going to stop there either.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh, yeah.
they did invade Hungary in 1954. They did invade Czechoslovakia
repeats itself,
in
that's for sure.
1968. You know, they still have the taste of those victories. They love those victories. They still cherish them. They have their sights set on Alaska. They considered it Russian territory.
Oh, that hurts. Yeah, I feel like I've been so misinformed by the internet, and it's like hence why I'm kind of off of it now. I think people over here with just like, even with some entitlement, again, not bad, in a bad way, but just some of the entitlement we have, but then also misinformation getting in the mix, it's like, it blows up.
You know what I hate the most about this conflict right here?
Yeah.
And I speak from the heart right now.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna say, I love America and I love Americans for two reasons. Americans are very empathetic and kind people. They're a kind nation. Honestly, I'm not trying to it's 100% true. I've seen an American girl cry about the things that we've done in Iraq. You know, I've seen
feel heavily.
Americans and are kind. It's a kind nation, and Americans are brave. You know, and the way Russia is exploiting American information space, they turn this country into cowards and kind of like not kind people, you know, who are looking out for themselves. And it's with the help of these Russian farms, because Russia has to win. Russia cannot lose this. And the only way they're gonna win is if United States backs out.
Covering their perception over everyone.
Exactly. And I appreciate you sharing those.
Yeah, and I appreciate you sharing.
You know what would make this interview just even better? If you played some violin for us.
Oh no.
But you're gonna play really quick.
Oh god. I'll play a little bit of the Butterfly. It's
Let's
like
do
a
it.
Celtic woman song.
We're a YouTube channel called Young Ukrainians. You know, we're speaking about the war. Obviously, you know, it's a war that has huge consequences for United States, the world, and Ukraine. Are you a United States citizen?
Yes.
Were you born in the United States?
Nope.
Where were you born?
Kathmandu, Nepal.
Kathmandu, Nepal. Oh my God.
Asia, yeah. We're kind of neighbors, but it's like a few thousand.
What do you think of what's going on over there? You know, should the United States keep helping Ukraine? You know, there are different opinions.
I think ceasefire. I think lots of people have died. Cities,
lots of people have died.
Countries have been destroyed. It's
Which countries?
Well, Ukraine has been destroyed a lot. Kiev has been destroyed. I think the latest figure is like, well, hundreds of thousands. Was it 400,000 people have died? knows?
31,000 Ukrainian military, but
like
civilians a lot more. Only in Mariupol, 130 people died, civilians.
30,000, 130.
130,000 in Mariupol itself.
That's six figures.
The city is demolished to the ground.
I think we need ceasefire. We need peace. We need to talk. Stop bombing each other. It's fighting over
when you say
land.
each other, what do you mean each? I mean, Ukraine is not bombing Russia, right? It's Russia bombing
they're fighting one another at the moment.
The war is entirely on Ukrainian soil.
Yeah, I think, in the beginning I was for Ukraine.
Right.
Right. But there's just so much bloodshed and so much innocent people dying. I think it's time to say, you know what? Let's stop killing.
Right.
Let's talk.
Okay.
What needs to be done? They're fighting over land.
Right.
It goes back over 100 years. But
it's more like 400 years.
Is it worth dying that many innocent people for a piece of land?
For Russia, it is.
What about for Ukraine?
For Ukraine? Well, for Ukraine, it's a survival.
Yeah.
Like if somebody comes to kill you and you don't put up a fight, you're gonna die.
Yeah.
Ukraine doesn't have a choice. They've been invaded.
I think it's time to just have
give up?
talks and peace.
So Ukraine should give up, you'd say?
We should talk about peace.
Peace, okay.
No more bloodshed. Innocent people are dying.
So right now, with everything that's going on, with this really bloody war, in all the times of like Russia, you said it correctly, it's been over 100 years. It's been over 300 years. And this is the time where Ukrainians are dying in smallest numbers in history. Like every time when Russia comes and they conquer Ukraine, usually it's like millions of Ukrainians are dying. So when Russia achieves total control over Ukrainian territory, they usually do genocide, right? With what's happening right now, with the way how many Ukrainians have died so far, it's smallest numbers of Ukrainians are dying because they're fighting. When you die while fighting, you die in smaller numbers.
I think that also the main reason that we should talk about, that we're not talking about right now, is NATO's influence. I think when they signed the Treaty of Minsk, NATO said we're not going to expand into Ukraine or like stop at that wherever the Iron Curtain used to be. But now Hungary's been in, Sweden just got admitted to NATO, and Russia feels threatened. It's the war machine. The people want to start wars, kill people. It doesn't matter who the people is. It's to feed the military-industrial complex.
Right.
America's funding both sides. People are dying.
Is America sending? Is America funding Russia? You say?
America. As soon as Biden came into power, he said, "Okay, yeah, go ahead and open up the Nord Stream, right?
Right.
Which gives natural gas, to all the maglev trains or whatever in Germany and Europe. Europe needs the oil and all that, but see, it's the military-industrial complex.
Okay.
We don't want peace. We want war. Why? Because war is money in American Congress people's pockets. They get mansions. They give their contracts billions of dollars, hundreds of billions of dollars.
Yeah.
It's easy to lose.
Isn't that good for United States to continue giving money to United States and industrial complex that creates jobs, that creates a good economy? That's not good. Jobs is not good.
No.
Funding of
I work in aerospace.
Okay.
I work in aerospace.
You don't like government contracts?
You know what? Peace. Let's try peace, man. We've tried wars.
No, but different questions. Isn't the government contracting boosts the aerospace and industrial complex?
But another way of saying it, isn't the government boosting death? It is. The government is boosting death. We've fought for thousands of years. Let's try peace, man.
Should United States give up their military because they're like boosting? Like, should we even have Pentagon? Like, why are we boosting death? Should we have Boeing?
Is the United States being attacked right now?
No, Ukraine is being attacked.
Was the United States being attacked? You asked about the Pentagon. I like where you're coming from. I see you're very Slavo-Ukraine.
No.
I like it. I like
Slavo-Ukrainian.
I like it.
Listen,
I like it. I like it.
besides that, I just want to talk about what you're saying, right? I find this very interesting. You bring up the points that not many people bring.
No,
you're very unique in your perspective, and I want to dig deeper into that. I think that's very interesting what you're saying.
I think you want me to say, let's go all in, let's start killing people, let's never stop.
I don't want you to say anything. No. I want you to say what you think.
That's what I believe.
And that's what you're saying, and I appreciate that.
Time to stop the casualties and losses, and let's talk about what to do with the land. I think the land is like the Donbass region and the Luhansk region.
Yeah.
Okay. And I guess
Crimea.
When Crimea was 2014. Right?
Yeah, that's when that started. It's a continuation of the same war.
It was Obama. He was in charge. Said, "Okay, Russia, go ahead. We got balls." Can we say balls? Yeah.
Please, now stay
Biden,
closer to me.
See, Biden, he doesn't even know where his underwear is. If it's on or not. if Trump was still in power, he told Russia, "Don't you dare do it." If Trump was still in power, if they didn't cheat, this wouldn't happen. Now look at the Middle East. Total chaos. But see, Biden, he's the swamp. Okay? He's been in the Congress, the Senate for 40, almost going on 50 years.
Right.
He's got mansions.
Okay.
He doesn't care about some people halfway across the world dying. All they care about is, let's pass some bills, legislation, let's fund this war. And Russia, the United States would love it if we can somehow go in and take out Russia through a proxy war, like how in the early 1980s, Afghanistan was fighting against Russia.
Yeah.
We funded the militants, which is actually the Taliban,
right,
to fight against Russia, and Russia actually pulled out, and they were defeated.
Yeah, it took like 15 years, though.
Yeah.
In those 15 years, Russia killed 1 million Afghanis out of a 9 million population. They basically genocided Afghanis.
But you know what? I believe that if someone invaded my country, I would defend my country.
Yeah, and that's what Ukrainians are doing.
Okay, so, but is it worth continuing on? Can we? Have we tried peace? Have we tried peace? Have we tried to talk about peace?
Ukraine has not attacked anyone.
But have we tried to talk
peace? It has not invaded.
Can we say, let's stop the war, let's talk about why we are fighting each other, why you're coming across? Because my understanding is the Donbass region was when the former Soviet Union, Soyuz Strong Socialist Republic, right?
Yes.
Kazakhstan, Georgia, they were all part of the USSR.
USSR, exactly.
Yeah, what is your take on, do you like the USSR, CCCP?
That's where I was born.
Okay.
It's a country where I was born.
Okay.
It doesn't exist anymore. It broke down into 15 republics.
Yeah.
One of them is Ukraine, one of them is Russia.
It's so strange to me how two former people that had so many close ties and cultures and history are fighting one another right now. I think NATO needs to stop expanding and honor the Minsk Treaty that was signed, saying, we will not invite these people to join NATO. And how worthless is NATO, man? They can't even, they need the biggest, NATO contributes like a small percentage, like less than 10%?
Yeah, 2%.
Yeah, 2%.
Yeah.
And then it's all the United States.
How are you going to get Russia to pull out?
To have NATO say, you know what, we will not go into Ukraine. We will not take Ukraine.
There's no NATO in Ukraine as we speak.
They're trying to join Ukraine. Ukraine is trying to join NATO, isn't it?
Of course, because Russia will never attack NATO. That's the only assurance of security if you join NATO right now.
NATO is worthless. They're paying less than 2%, like we just talked about.
But Russia is not going to attack NATO. They're afraid of NATO. So if you are part of NATO,
is NATO even still viable?
We don't know.
I think
because this war is gonna prove what's gonna happen. Maybe NATO will be a power to be reckoned with. If Russia pushes their agenda, if Russia conquers Ukraine, they're gonna prove, NATO, you're nothing.
November, we're gonna have a huge election. Mr. Trump's gonna win, Biden's gonna lose. There's going to be more order and more stability around the whole entire world, which we need. We need Trump, and we need peace. I love your patriotism. I would do the same thing. I would stand up for my country, and I would defend it. But You might want to look at like the external influences of NATO and the military-industrial complex. I think they're just using you guys to die and just for the money to go into the Congress people and the politicians' pockets. They don't give a rat's ass.
NATO does not attack countries. Countries join NATO voluntarily. And the reason, like recently, Finland and Sweden joined NATO because of Ukraine. As soon as Russia went in Ukraine, those countries were like, hell no, we're gonna join NATO. Anyway, I want to thank you for stopping and talking to us for a little bit. It's been very interesting.
Let's get Trump in. Let's stop the bloodshed. Let's have more sanity. And let's have some control. And the heck with this military-industrial complex. And I'm really mad at all the politicians. They don't really care about you. They don't care about you. They don't care about Ukraine. They don't care about the 135,000 people that died in Mariupol. They don't care. They just want to pass a bill, a signature, get billions of dollars, and have millions of dollars go into their pocket, their friend's pocket, their son's pocket, and their friends' sons' pockets.
All right, I appreciate your input. Thank you so much. It's about Ukraine.
Okay.
It's for a channel called Young Ukrainians.
Yeah.
Are you a United States citizen?
Yeah, I work in a charity called Clothes for Kids, and actually we've noticed a huge increase in people using our program of Ukrainian descent. I live in Washington State. There's a lot of...
Are you visiting from Washington?
Yeah, I'm visiting from Washington here in California.
Welcome
but
to
there's
California.
a lot of immigrants coming into Everett and Mukilteo, which we're noticing, yeah, again, we're seeing a lot of war refugees that are using our services. We basically give a free clothing program for children, school-age children.
Thank you for doing that. Do you think United States involvement should continue? Should we keep helping, funding Ukraine in their effort to...
My heart is telling me that we should be trying to push for peace and stop putting, again, like, people in the United States benefit from war continuing. And so it's really hard to trust our politicians here. They tell us we need to fund this to fight Putin, but I don't know. My thought is generally like we should be trying to find peaceful solutions.
Do you think this is, because some people say different things. Some people say, oh, we have so much trouble here, we should stop continuing supporting Ukraine because like we have homelessness, we don't have enough money for everything.
Yeah, I mean, we need to focus on removing the log from our own eyes before removing the peace out of our neighbors.
Right, but you're saying that this war is beneficial for the United States. Some saying that it's not
obviously.
beneficial.
Well, no, having wars in all over the world is great for our defense contractors.
Right.
Yeah.
And they kind of create jobs and all that.
Totally, they sell their weapons of war.
Right.
Yeah.
But for Ukraine, it's kind of a lucky thing because they can have those weapons and repel the Russian invasion.
Yeah, I mean, from my understanding is the CIA has been kind of using a presence there to aggravate Russia, to goad them into this war, and we've won the war, and so now we have the war to benefit the business that we're trying to do, which is war.
Question?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, you have to be in a shot too.
That's fine.
Hi, what's your name?
Sarah.
Sarah. What's your name?
Luke.
Luke and Sarah. Do you have a question for us?
Yeah, what's your angle? Like, are you from the Ukraine?
I'm Ukrainian born American.
Okay.
Yeah. I want Ukraine to win and they will win.
You want them to win? What does win mean to you?
Win means defeating Russia in a field of battle, sustaining and securing a Ukrainian state within the internationally recognized borders, and eventual destruction of fascist Russian regime and Russia as a country.
Would you accept like terms of peace where it means Ukraine loses territory?
No.
Well, see, that's like, I think the issue is, right? It's like, where can, like, my goal personally is to try to just move towards peaceful solutions.
Right.
And so I would be willing to sacrifice your country to gain peace.
But we also, we both don't have any like attachment to like Ukraine heritage, right?
Right.
So like our position is more, not my position, not yours, is like U.S. citizen, right?
Right.
Like we're not from Russia, we're not from Ukraine.
Exactly.
We don't have any of that. But our invested interest is we're American, and I think that what you're asking is American money being sent and American
Yes.
people and American interests being sent. So our side of it is from the American perspective.
Exactly.
And we love all people, right? But like, we want peace.
What I want as an American, right? I want us to speak.
Yeah.
I want us to get our ideas out there. Because Russia is exploiting us inability to speak with each other, and they're speaking for us. They're dividing us. They're turning this nation into a nation of cowards and non-empathetic people. You know, I don't like that.
I don't know if Russia's doing that.
Who is doing that?
To be honest,
The
we've always
US
been kind of anti-war
the US
in the
is
United
doing
States, the
that.
populace, but the government has always been pro-war.
Who was always anti-war?
Remember, we had to false flag ourselves with Pearl Harbor to get into World War II?
It's not Russia.
I don't
doing
know
that
about false
to
flagging
us.
ourselves.
Really?
I thought the Japanese attacked.
Attacked Pearl Harbor,
yeah.
yeah, we know it's coming. Again, same with Afghanistan. We had to false flag ourselves to get into Afghanistan. It's more like the general populace is anti-war. We don't want war, but the government needs to get us into these conflicts. And so, you know, I think that us citizens want to see a peaceful solution, but the government benefits from selling arms to a lot of foreign countries. So that's, again, what I'm seeing on a national narrative. And if I was in charge, I would try to negotiate.
What would you do if you were the leader of this nation?
I would try to negotiate peaceful settlements and try to again, the defense contractors are benefiting so much from continued warfare all around the world, and I think war is where everyone loses. And it's hard to say, okay, we should stop all war, but then if there's brutal regimes and what you're alleging fascist Russia is coming in and just mass killing people, and we see similar thing with Netanyahu's regime in Israel. So I'm saying, I want a peaceful situation for all inhabitants of this globe.
What's your win-win? What's your
How do we win here?
What's your view on how we win?
Well, first of all, the world and United States should be united in helping Ukraine.
We have been.
Well, I'm just answering your question.
So I'm bringing in Ukrainians into the United States, and I'm giving their children clothing through my charity. You are saying that you want conflict in Ukraine and Russia to establish the sovereignty of the Ukrainian state?
Yes.
Yeah.
Ukraine is a sovereign nation. They will win back the territory. They will stay sovereign.
So I'm telling
That's
you
the
that
only
my
way.
sovereign nation took a bunch of natives here and just genocided them, put them in concentration camps called whatever, we have the tribes now, and it's what am I supposed to say? What am I supposed to say to that, man? It's we came into this country as 13 colonies and took over and killed them all, and now we have a country for ourselves. And you're bitching about Russia taking over your country.
I'm not bitching.
No, I'm saying you're here doing
Russia
an interview.
did come.
Yeah, exactly. And we
start the
came and
war.
did the same thing to the Native Americans in this country.
What is your win?
My win is a Ukrainian win. A United States win
Well, let me
is
just
Ukrainian
say,
win.
look me up, www.lukedog.com. Also, ldc.financial. I'm a CPA. I'm writing a book, The Book of Life, and I'm trying to participate in communities around me, and I think disengaging from the political environment in order to build local community is really what we should be doing. So we're just kind of two idiots with voices, and we don't really have necessarily any political power, but
Who is the source of power in the United States?
Money.
well, right now Joseph R. Biden and Donald J. Trump.
It's not the people of the United States,
Why would it be the people?
according to United States Constitution.
That's a great question, but
All right. Well, I just want to thank you for your interview.